Hey guys, Illy here, and this time we're talking about American top light tank Sheridan. I made a review on this tank some time ago, and my opinion about it really shifted a bit, so I'm going to talk about it again and talk about how to use this tank so that you don't actually suffer in it the way I was suffering in the beginning, because at first this tank was not really a nightmare, but it wasn't nothing pleasant to me. And, well, you could also see that in my review that I wasn't really pleased with it. Now I'm more or less okay with it, and I will explain how I actually got to some understanding how to use it and how I found the advantages of this tank, which are actually possible to use, unlike some Panzerwagen. So, what you immediately see about this tank is that it's insanely huge. It's of the size of E50, with two pretty uncomfortable consequences. First of all, you have really bad camo. It's lower than 30% if you buff it to the max. It still stays below 30. That's less than stationary camo of some medium tanks, like Object 140 or Batshot. If you train camo in all your Batshot, you'll have more stationary camo than Sheridan. It's that ridiculous. And also it means that your safe zone is very, very narrow. Even if you spot enemy with your gorgeous 420 base view range, your enemy will spot you very quickly just because you don't have any camo, compared to other lights, of course. Like, obviously, if you spot enemy heavy tanks, you will spot them a lot earlier. But we're talking about duels with other lights. And there you will probably lose, because not only do you get spotted early, but, like, since you are so huge, you are impossible to miss. And even the most inaccurate guns, like FV-183, Type 5 Heavy, they will all hit you. Like, look at this, it's really impossible to miss. So these are the major drawbacks of the tank that were the biggest problem for me, that really made me hate this tank, because this tank can't do any, well, almost any active scouting. Of course you can scout from landscape, you can get, into some safe bowl, and then just stick your turret out of it, that's not a problem. But do you have many opportunities to do that on maps? Not really. So your primary scouting use is just standing in the bushes. Standing in the bushes, if your light tank can't do anything, then you can stand in the bushes, because any tank can stand in the bushes. So as a scout, not as a light it's okay, but as a scout it's very, very uncomfortable, and it's pretty bad. And it's actually so weird that if you get to Malinovka, you just hate it. Like, because Malinovka is a paradise for lights, but getting to Malinovka in Sheridan, that feels like curse, because you're so huge that you can't spot anything, and bushes are not that effective in Malinovka or in Prokhorovka, because if you want to be really effective, not just sitting in a single bush half the battle with no guarantee that it will work out, then you have to do something active there, and probably you will be killed very early. So that's a trouble, you really have to be cautious there, and always, because again, it's not hard to miss you. So, what is good about this tank? Why don't I consider it trashy anymore? Is its gun. Its gun is very special. It's well, first of all, you have the best DPM of all light tanks. That's really great. You have probably the best balance between alpha damage and rate of fire. Your alpha damage is 360, and you have really good rate of fire with reload under 8 seconds, and I'm not even using cola, because I use cola mainly to improve view range, but I already have enough, even without it. Like, I have over 480 without food, so why would I need it? And I can actually make credits like that. That's what I do in Sheridan. Like, if I don't have many credits, I play Sheridan, and then maybe I can even make some credits. Okay, but we were talking about the gun. So we already said perfect balance between alpha damage and reload, best DPM, and also pretty good gun handling. I can't call it phenomenal or like completely perfect, but it's very good, it's still very good, it's above average, it's comfortable. You auto-aim your enemy, you wait a little bit and you click and it usually hits the target. The only thing that sometimes annoys about it is that sometimes your shell just slips. Like you wait till you're fully aimed, like you aim, like ooh, your aim is circle contracted, and then you click and your shell goes like whoa, like to the other universe, wherever. That happens from time to time. That really pisses off. And the other thing is penetration. And there you really have to understand that you use this gun in a different way, since this tank is not really a scout. You play it more like a medium tank. So even though your penetration is more of T100 than of T100 LT, T100 LT flanks, T100 LT uses its gun, you know, on full speed, and it shoots the sides, and you know, its gun is kind of bonus to the good scout. Whereas this tank is first of all about the gun, and like its secondary thing is that it can stand in the bushes. And for that purpose, the gun doesn't really have enough penetration. 236, I think? Yeah, I guess so. That means that you don't penetrate some angled E50, sometimes you don't. You don't penetrate angled E75, you don't penetrate lower plate of E75, you don't penetrate lower plate of I7. And that is something that, for example, WZ-132 doesn't have problems with, because it has 246 base penetration, and it does pen all kinds of lower plates, it does penetrate angled E75 and everything. So in that sense, WZ-132 has its own advantages. So these two tanks, WZ and Sheridan, are really damage dealers, but WZ is also, well, pretty good scout. It's not perfect, but it's alright, it can do that, unlike Sheridan. So if I were to choose between WZ-1321 and Sheridan, I would still choose WZ-1321, even though it has worse gun handling. But there, at least you understand why you have worse gun handling, because you have, well, super pen for a light tank, and because you have a greater alpha damage, because only in WZ-1321 you can high roll for 450. But again, let's get back to this tank. We have gun handling, so we aim quickly, and we have DPM, and that's something you really have to use, because this tank is more like a medium. Like, if I were to give a nickname to this tank, I would call it M48 lightweight, because, you know, M48 pattern. They are so similar with pattern. Let's just count what is similar. They're both huge, yes. They have poor camo for their classes, yes, because pattern has like almost heavy tank camo, Sheridan has almost medium tank camo, so that's already two. They have 420 meters view range, yes. They have good DPM, yes, pattern has actually quite good DPM, that's already 4. They have good gun handling, yes, that's already 5. They have 5 similar things, and they're used in a similar way. So imagine that you have a completely paper pattern with, well, with some camo on the move, of course, and everything. Yeah, look at that. That slipped down. And that's not the last case in this battle, so you'll see one more example of it. At least one more. So basically it's a pattern that can drive 65. And that's the way you play it. Well, with lower pen but since it's quicker you can sometimes flank someone, blah blah blah. Little differences, but all in all, it's a pattern that drives 65. If you like pattern, you will like this tank. But again, whenever you get to open map, like, you are really a problem for your team. Because if your tank has Sheridan and the other tank has if your team has Sheridan and the other team has T100 LT, well, your team is screwed, because even if you want to scout, you won't live long. If you don't scout, then your team won't live long, because T100 LT will spot everyone. This whole feeling of complete helplessness in the open maps, it's really something that frustrates me. Like, it's the main point why I don't like this tank. I like the way it damages, and whenever you are in some Himmelsdorf and you're in Sheridan, you think like, Oh, great, I'm in Sheridan. That's a very cool thing. And you deal like 4,000 in Himmelsdorf. That's like... And I haven't made it up. It really happened a few times to me that I dealt 4,000 in Himmelsdorf. Because it really drives out. It has 10 degrees of gun depression also. That's cool. You just drive up on the hill in Himmelsdorf and you just shoot left, right, bam, 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 bam. Yeah, there we go, the second slip. But then again, if I were in WZ1321, I wouldn't feel much worse than that. But WZ1321 can also scout. So this tank Sheridan, on which place would I place it now after playing it again in the rankings of light tanks? Well, the first place is T100LT, of course, the most light of all lights, and well, it's pretty universal, maybe not so much into damaging, but very, very good assister. Then WZ1321 is a very good damager, has some armor in turret that works against your 9 tanks sometimes, and works very well against your 8 tanks. Boom, that's the gun handling. So WZ1321 is on the second place in my list, but the problem is that not everyone can really handle its gun handling. That sounded weird. Handle the gun handling. Yeah, not everyone can really deal with it because it's really not very accurate on the move, and plus you really need to wait for your aiming circle to contract. You have to be patient. But if you are patient in WZ, it pays off because it penetrates and the alpha is big. So it's really worth it in my opinion. And the third place, well, will it be 13105 or Sheridan? I would say 13105 because 13105, it's not the best scout, but it can at least scout something, and it can outspot enemies. Sheridan unfortunately can't because, as I said, if you get to some Malinovka or Prokhorovka in Sheridan, like, you hate everything because it's really like, you know that you will be useless there. A light tank that is useless in Malinovka, that's not a very good light. I think you agree with me. So Sheridan is on the 4th place, but it's not that bad. If you really want to some quicker pattern, which doesn't forgive mistakes, like the pattern will forgive mistakes with its super armor turret in the next patch. If you're ready to trade Patton's armor for speed and some camo, then Sheridan is definitely for you. Just play it as a medium tank. Well, the only difference from complete medium gameplay is that you can spot someone from the bushes. So first you go to some bush, you spot someone, then you go back and you play as a medium tank. That's the way you play Sheridan. That's totally not my gameplay, and again, feeling helpless in some maps. Like, I don't like being so much map dependent, but Sheridan really is map dependent, unfortunately. Oh, this was a lucky one. So that's all I wanted to say about Sheridan. If you have your opinion about it, then leave it in the comments. Maybe my advice to play mainly as a medium tank will help you. I hope it will help you to get better in your Sheridan if you can't handle it, if you couldn't handle it before. And well, if you haven't got Sheridan in your garage yet, then probably I wouldn't recommend still to do it, because there are at least 2 light tanks that I definitely prefer way more than Sheridan, which are much more universal in terms of damaging, in terms of scouting, in terms of everything. But this one is not a bad choice, and well, thank you for watching guys, and see you in the next videos.